Hi everybody, my name is Rob Scott from UC Today, and in this session we'll be discussing breaking silos in Microsoft Teams with Shams Khan, Principal Solutions Consultant over at SCB Global. So welcome Shams, how are you today?
Hi, thank you for having me here. I'm really well, thank you. And how are you?
I'm really good, really good. Just before we jump into today's session, Shams, why don't you give us a quick intro, please? Tell us about who you are and who is SCB Global.
Sure. So my name is Shams Khan. I work as a Principal Solutions Consultant for SCB Global. One of the core functions of my role is getting involved in the 3Ds, that is discovery, design, and delivery of digital transformation in the UCaaS and CCaaS space around Microsoft Teams. Very brief introduction of SCB, that stands for Simple Call Business. Often we get confused or mistaken for SBCs. So that's a real call out here. We're born out of a telco that started in 2004 with an ethos in enabling global businesses. We are a leading provider in delivering omni-channel interactions with the ability to fuse global data connectivity and managed service in the UCaaS and CCaaS space. We're headquartered in London, UK, with multiple offices around the world and operate a multilingual follow-the-sun support, serving about customers in 22 countries. That's probably growing at this rate, but that's the latest stats I have of 22 countries that we support customers around the world.
Great stuff. Thanks, Shams. And you are right in the middle of the Microsoft Teams conversation on UC Today quite often. And you talk about SCBs or SBCs and direct routing. I know you guys know a lot about it over at SCB. So how about we start with talking about these silos, because I'm interested to understand kind of what silos do exist in the Microsoft Teams environment. So could you talk us through that, please?
Absolutely, yeah. So historically, organizations have viewed collaboration, communication, contact center, CX that comes within that space as separate silos or islands, however you want to put it, and that resulted in procuring services, in three different components. And we still see customers with that similar sort of mindset, whereby UC is one space, communication is another, contact centers is a third space, primarily because of the provider streams that exist as well, like collaboration providers. And we've seen a massive rise of collaboration providers. Everybody's doing video calling. Our communications providers who are saying we can integrate into video calling. Then we had telephony providers who would use traditional PBX and calling capability. And then we also had contact center providers. The rise of the silos is pretty much based on two major factors, I would say. One being the technical limitations around these islands wouldn't really talk to each other. Maybe it was a vendor battles that was taking place, or it was due to the technologies not being as advanced, which we have a separate opinion as SCB. Or it could be something else within the infrastructure where it carried that limitation. And the second challenge was the mindset challenge. Many organizations say, if it works, why touch it? So that was one of the reasons why the silos started to create. Even now with Microsoft Teams, with the growing rate of, digitalization and open platforms that are coming through, people have opted Microsoft Teams as their collaboration solution, but the telephony doesn't really talk to the Microsoft platform. So they might be in a video meeting or a call, but their presence is not really translated to the telephony or the contact center space. And it creates a lot of silos and repetition and duplication, and probably impacts productivity and efficiency as well. However, I would say that we are seeing slowly but surely a paradigm shift in the mindset of enterprises who are now willing to fuse these three realms, if you like. And even providers like us are coming out to say, we can blur the lines for you guys. And I think, in my opinion, this is the way and the holistic view that enterprises should really take to increase the efficiency, business productivity, and maximize the investment in Office 365.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree there, Shams. I mean, something I'm very, very passionate about is, unifying communications. Because if you do bring them together, that is for me, the potential holy grail for a lot of organizations, as you say, breaking down those silos. But let's focus in on that kind of first big silo that you mentioned around cloud calling or the phone system element. I take it there's a lot of organizations out there at the moment that are using Microsoft Teams as a kind of collaboration platform, but they're kind of, still using a legacy PBX. So could you talk us through, that part, please, and just in terms of the benefits of moving to a Microsoft Teams cloud calling environment.
Yeah, well, I'll briefly touch upon for the audience as well, just to get a brief understanding what cloud calling is, because even there are so many terms and marketing, connotations that come with it. So briefly explain, cloud calling is the ability simply to connect, let's say, Rob, if I want to call you on your mobile phone, or if I want to call somebody externally in a different country, that is what cloud calling is. And SCB has been doing this for many, many years, historically enabling UC platforms or providing coverage globally. That's where cloud calling component sits. And organizations can get this in two ways. One is a Microsoft option. This is the calling plans, which is being promoted heavily. That comes with its own limitation, but it serves its purpose as well. We won't really go into the details of what they are, but something as a call out would be, there is a factor of communication credits, which works as a prepaid top-up functionality that you need to buy to even make calls, or to, like, for free phone numbers, for instance. Whereas the cloud calling that SCB really homes in and provides that capability is to provide additional benefits, from a coverage standpoint. So our coverage is very expansive and global in about 160 countries. So cloud calling provides that feature set that we can unlock, whether it is number presentation, CLI flexibility, advanced IVR functions, presence-based routing, native Teams recording, and so on. The list just carries on. Migration is another factor, which would be in a scenario like this where you've got legacy PBX and you want to really phase your critical communications into another realm, if you like, or a technology. Cloud calling actually supports that with the way you can phase this out in a controlled environment, and a lot of other quality of service benefits as well. So those are the two areas of how cloud calling works. But in terms of the silos, I was just looking something up, before this session. There are about 80% to 90% of users in the UK who are Office 365 users, and they don't leverage enterprise voice in Teams, which means it's a clear example of silos. You've gone out, and yes, because of the pandemic, a lot of providers are giving, or vendors are giving out licenses, to support the organization, but it's created a lot of silos because it's no one in the organization sometimes has gone back and said, we want to see it holistically, how we can bring everything together, how can we maximize efficiency, especially when you're working in a 100% remote workforce environment. So that's the reason why we need to look at, because it is going to start creating multiple silos. And more importantly, you're using Office 365 already. So you've already got Teams in your environment. Why not pretty much maximize the investment that you've made in Office 365 with the cloud calling component, bring all of those enhanced features and capabilities. Couldn't get the word out there, but yeah, that's what we could do for using the cloud calling capability around Microsoft Teams per se. So that's very much briefly that I've touched upon, but there's a lot more we can delve into.
Yeah, I completely agree. And for what I understand, the calling plans for Microsoft are ideal for maybe a simple small business that doesn't need a great, or doesn't really dial outside their country, doesn't just needs something quick and easy. Might be good for a startup, but as you get towards the kind of mid-market and enterprise space, requirements are more complex, aren't they? Multi-sites, remote workers, compliance, and all sorts of kind of regulatory challenges that maybe Microsoft can't help organizations to overcome. So I see loads of value in cloud calling, and certainly the PBX element of Microsoft Teams, as far as I know, and James, you can tell me, is it's good. It's quite a strong proposition, but I think it does have missing features as well that potentially you would provide as a cloud calling provider.
Absolutely. And I mean, we've got a list of features set around, functionality, capability, helping the migration that SCB comes in. And one of the call out I would like to make here is it's important to work with a carrier provider like SCB, who's got the expertise, who can help you in this journey and help you pretty much not create dual subscriptions, because there are a lot of vendors who can say, yes, we can integrate with your third-party PBX or Microsoft Teams. But what you end up doing is you still end up creating silos from reporting, analytics, and even subscription. There's a lot of overlap happening. So we can pretty much say, wherever there's a missing feature, we wave the flag of Microsoft because we want to strengthen that proposition. We bring you a single pane of glass experience from a cloud calling perspective, and you can leverage all of that within the Microsoft ecosystem as opposed to taking you outside of the ecosystem of Microsoft.
That's a really good point as well, isn't it? You know, just let's not add to the complexity. Okay, so let's talk about the next silo, which was contact center. And, you know, this is something that traditionally sits outside of a collaboration platform, certainly. And, you know, when you bring the calling into it, that's when you kind of really start to bring in that contact center conversation, because a lot of organizations nowadays, you know, do have informal and quite formal advanced contact center requirements. So tell us about that. How do you address that in a Microsoft Teams environment?
So contact center out of the box in Teams is very limited, I would say. There are some functions and feature set, but like you just highlighted, you know, organizations have pretty much a broad spectrum of when you talk about contact center. And even that is constantly changing with the rise of digital channels. You know, so many social media channels are coming up and the way people communicate with each other. So SCB has seen this as a view. We've had lots of experience in different channels. You know, I used to be a product manager at one point for SMS and other omni-channel interaction services that we provided. SCB's brought all of that wealth of rich experience and knowledge into the Microsoft Teams space again, and give you that single pane of glass experience to have that 360-degree view for your customers' interaction and breaking those silos, as opposed to, again, taking you outside of that platform to another platform and create some other complexity from a reporting or skewing the KPIs because the report sits in two different places and doing some sort of a band-aid job. We don't want to take the approach. As I said, we want to bring the services in the Microsoft ecosystem, whether it is your queuing, web callback, or your bots that you need, where we leverage Microsoft Cognitive Services, your omni-channel interaction, your customer surveys, SMS campaigns, or any other voice and digital channel engagement. And we wrap it all around with our rich reporting that we leverage Power BI for. So again, a Microsoft product that natively fits in and gives you all that rich, colorful looking reports and analytics that organizations are after, wallboards and dashboards. All of that comes into the Teams environment. And we recognize that when we are talking about breaking silos, we want to try and do it end to end.
That's really good. And you know, finally, how do you kind of wrap all this up for a customer? Because, you know, do you look at these in silos, like in individual pieces, or, you know, how do you go to market with a kind of a holistic, you know, solution like this?
Yeah, you may come across a bit of bias because, you know, I'm representing SCB, but we are very much a customer-centric, solution-led organization. Day one, we have never gone out and said, this is off the shelf, you know, that's where you go, Mr. Customer. We try and work in a consultative manner, from discovery, consultation, workshops, planning, testing, delivering services in a careful phase migration approach. We call it like crawl, walk, and run. You know, we capture prerequisites. We want to try and give the organization the best fit product. So we do all of that in terms of our expertise and approach that we take. But then the technology we pretty much plug in is to try and in terms of giving the customer that single pane of glass experience, and also breaking those barriers where the lines can be blurred. You can elevate a back office user to a contact center user, or you can create CRM integration that, again, Teams doesn't offer. Out of the box, we've got quite a lot of CRM integrations that we can do, and other native integrations that we can also support because of our in-house development that we bring to the table. So we're not just saying we can give you the simple out-of-the-box solution that you wouldn't require, or with the missing features that is already built with the SCB homegrown capabilities, but we can also go to pretty much the extreme scenarios, you know, whether be it from hard to reach places, be it hybrid solutions, or be it complex requirements. So we can pretty much tackle all of that, again, with that single pane of glass experience and in Microsoft ecosystem.
Perfect. And what's the best way for people to get in touch with SCB Global?
So SCB Global, and you can contact us on our website, which is scb-global.com. You can drop us a line on sales@scb-global.com, or give us a call on 0203-435-0033.
Shams, it's been great talking to you today. Some really great insights for Microsoft Teams customers, some really valid points. And I'd like to thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me here. It's always a pleasure, talking to you guys at UC Today and getting involved in these discussions.
Thanks, Shams. And thanks to everyone for watching. If you've enjoyed today's session, please do give us a quick like or a share on social. It's always appreciated. And thanks for watching.